6 of the Iliad. We're now on book 3. Alexandria, also called Paris, challenges Menelaus. Helen and Priam view the Achaeans from the wall. The covenant. Paris and Menelaus fight, and Paris is worsted. Aphrodite carries him off to save him. Scene between him and Helen. When the companies were thus arrayed, each under its own captain, the Trojans advanced as a flight of wildfowl or cranes that scream overhead when rain and winter drive them over the flowing waters of Oceanus to bring death and destruction on the pygmies, and they wrangle in the air as they fly. But the Achaeans marched silently in high heart and minded to stand by one another. As when the south wind spreads a curtain of mist upon the mountaintops, bad for shepherds but better than night for thieves, and a man can see no further than he can throw a stone, even so rose the dust from under their feet as they made all speed over the plain. When they were close up with one another, Alexandrus came forward as champion on the Trojan side. On his shoulders he bore the skin of a panther, his bow and his sword, and he brandished 2 spears shod with bronze as a challenge to the bravest of the Achaeans to meet him in single fight. Menelaus saw him thus stride out before the ranks, and was glad as a hungry lion that lights on the carcass of some goat or horned stag, and devours it there and then. Though dogs and youths sat upon him, even thus was Menelaus glad when his eyes caught sight of Alexandrus, for he deemed that now he should be revenged. He sprang, therefore, from his chariot, clad in his suit of armor. Alexandrus quailed as he saw Menelaus come forward, and shrank in fear of his life under cover of his men, as one who starts back frighted, trembling and pale, when he comes suddenly upon a serpent in some mountain glade. Even so did Alexandrus plunge into the throng of Trojan warriors, terror-stricken at the sight of the son of Atreus. Then Hector upbraided him. Paris, said he, evil-hearted Paris, fair to see, but woman mad and false of tongue. Would that you had never been born, or that you had died unwed. Better so, than live to be disgraced and looked askance at. Will not the Achaeans mock at us, and say that we have sent one to champion us, who is fair to see, but who has neither wit nor courage? Did you not, such as you are, get your following together and sail beyond the seas? Did you not from a far country carry off a lovely woman wedded among a people of warriors, to bring sorrow upon your father, your city, and your whole country, but joy to your enemies, and hangdog, shamefacedness to yourself? And now can you not dare face Menelaus, and learn what manner of man he is, whose wife you have stolen, where indeed would be your lyre and your love drinks, your comely locks, and your fair favor, when you were lying in the dust before him? The Trojans were a weak-kneed people, or ere this would have, or ere this you would have had a shirt of stones, for the wrongs you have done them. And Alexandrus answered, Hector, your rebuke is just. You are hard as the axe which a shipwright wields at his work, and cleaves the timber to his liking as the axe in his hand. So keen is the edge of your scorn. Still, taunt me not with the gifts that golden Aphrodite has given me. They are precious. Let not a man disdain them, for the gods give them where they are minded, and none can have them for the asking. If you would have me do battle with Menelaus, bid the Trojans and the Achaeans take their seats, while he and I fight in their midst for Helen and all her wealth. Let him who shall be victorious and prove to be the better man take the woman and all she has, to bear them to his home. But let the rest swear to a solemn covenant of peace, whereby you Trojans shall stay here in Troy, while the others go home to Argos and the land of the Achaeans. When Hector heard this, he was glad and went about among the Trojan ranks, holding a spear by the middle to keep them aback. And they all sat down at his bidding, but the Achaeans still aimed at him with stones and arrows. Still Agamemnon shouted to them, saying, Hold, Argives, shoot not, sons of the Achaeans, Hector desires to speak. They ceased taking aim, and were still. Whereon Hector spoke. Hear from my mouth, said he, Trojans and Achaeans, the saying of Alexandrus, through whom this quarrel has come about. He bids the Trojan and Achaeans lay their armor upon the ground, while he and Menelaus fight in the midst of you for Helen and all her wealth. Let him who shall be victorious prove to be the better man, take the woman and all she has, to bear them to his own home, but let the rest swear to a solemn covenant of peace. Thus he spoke, and they all held their peace, till Menelaus of the loud battle cry addressed them. And now, he said, hear me too, for it is I who am the most grieved. I deem that the party of Achaeans and Trojans is at hand, as well it may be, seeing how much I have suffered for my quarrel with Alexandrus, and the wrong he did me. Let him who shall die, die, and let others fight no more. Bring then 2 lambs, a white ram and a black ewe, for earth and sun, and we will bring a third for Zeus. Moreover, you shall bid Priam come, that he may swear to the covenant himself, for his sons are high-handed and ill to trust, and the oaths of Zeus. Moreover, you shall bid Priam come. Trust the oaths of Zeus must not be transgressed or taken in vain. Young men's minds are light as air, but when an old man comes, he looks before and after, deeming that which shall be fairest upon both sides. The Trojans and Achaeans were glad when they heard this, for they thought that they should now have rest. They backed their chariots toward the ranks, got out of them, and put off their armor, laying it down upon the ground, and the hosts were near to one another, with a little space between them. Hector sent 2 messengers to the city to bring the lambs, and to bid Priam come, while Agamemnon told Talthybius to fetch the other lamb from the ships, and he did as Agamemnon had said. of Priam's daughters. She found her in her own room, working at a great web of purple linen, on which she was embroidering the battles between Trojans and Achaeans, that Ares had made them fight for her sake. Iris then came close up to her and said, "Come hither, child, and see the strange doings of the Trojans and Achaeans. Till now they have been warring upon the plain, mad with lust of battle, but now they have left off fighting, and are leaning upon their shields, sitting still with their spears planted beside them. Alexandrus and Menelaus are going to fight about yourself, and you are to be the wife of him who is the victor." Thus spoke the goddess, and Helen's heart yearned after her former husband, her city, and her parents. She threw a white mantle over her head and hurried from her room, weeping as she went, not alone, but attended by 2 of her handmaids. Aethra, daughter of Pythias and Clymene, and straightway they were at the Scaean gates. The Jew sages, Eucaligon and Antenor, elders of the people, were seated by the Scaean gates, with Priam, Panthus, Thymoetes, Lampus, Clytius, and Hicetaon of the race of Ares. These were too old to fight, but they were fluent orators, and sat on the tower like Cicales, that cherub delicately from the boughs of some high tree in a wood. When they saw Helen coming towards the tower, they said softly to one another, "Small wonder that Trojans and Achaeans should endure so much and so long for the sake of a woman, so marvelously and divinely lovely. Still fair though she be, let them take her and go, or she will breed sorrow for us and for our children after us." But Priam bade her draw nigh. "My child," said he, "take your seat in front of me, that you may see your former husband, your kinsmen and your friends. I lay no blame upon you. It is the gods, not you, who are to blame. It is they that have brought about this terrible war with the Achaeans. Tell me, then, who is yonder huge hero, so great and godly? I have seen men taller by a head, but none so comely and so royal. Surely he must be a king." "Sir," answered Helen, "father of my husband, and dear and reverend in my eyes, would that I had chosen death rather than to have come here with your son, far from my bridal chamber, my friends, my darling daughter, and all the companions of my girlhood. But it was not to be, and my lot is one of tears and sorrow. As for your question, the hero of whom you ask is Agamemnon, son of Atreus, a good king and a brave soldier, brother-in-law as surely as that he lives to my abhorred and miserable self." The old man marveled at him and said, "Happy son of Atreus, child of good fortune, I see that the Achaeans are subject to you in great multitudes. When I was in Phrygia, I saw much horsemen, the people of Atreus and of Mygdon, who were camping upon the banks of the river Sangarius. I was their ally with them when the Amazons, tears of men, came stalks in front of the ranks as it were some great woolly ram ordering his ewes. And Helen answered, He is Odysseus, a man of great craft, son of Laertes. He was born in rugged Ithaca, and excels in all manner of stratagems and subtle cunning. On this Antenor said, Madam, you have spoken truly. Odysseus once came here as envoy about yourself, and Menelaus with him. I received them in my own house, and therefore know both of them by sight and conversation. When they stood up in presence of the assembled Trojans, Menelaus was the broader shouldered, but when both were seated, Odysseus had the more royal presence. After a time they delivered their message, and the speech of Menelaus ran tremblingly on the tongue. He did not say much, for he was a man of few words, but he spoke very clearly and to the point. Though he was the younger man of the Jew, Odysseus, on the other hand, when he rose to speak, was at first silent and kept his eyes fixed upon the ground. There was no play, no graceful movement of his scepter. He kept it straight and stiff, like a man unpracticed in oratory. One might have taken him for a mere churl or simpleton, but when he raised his voice and the words came driving from his deep chest like winter snow before the wind, then there was none to touch him, and no man though further of what he looked like. Priam then caught sight of Ajax and asked, Who is the great and goodly warrior, whose head and broad shoulders tower above the rest of the Argives? That, answered Helen, is huge Ajax, bulwark of the Achaeans. And on the other side of him, among the Cretans, stands Idomeneus, looking like a god, and with the captains of the Cretans round him. Often did Menelaus receive him as a guest in our house when he came visiting us from Crete. I see, moreover, many other Achaeans whose names I could tell you, but there are two whom I can nowhere find: Castor, breaker of horses, and Pollux, the mighty boxer. They are children of my mother, and own brothers to myself. Either they have not left Lacedaemon, or else though they have brought their ships, they will not show themselves in battle for the shame and disgrace that I have brought upon them. She knew that both these heroes were already lying under the earth in their own land of Lacedaemon. Meanwhile, the heralds were bringing the holy oath offerings through the city, Jew lambs and a goat skin of wine, the gift of earth, and Idaeus brought the mixing bowl and the cups of gold. He went up to Priam and said, Son of Laomedon, the princes of the Trojans and Achaeans bid you come down onto the plain, and swear to a solemn covenant. Alexandrus and Menelaus are to fight for Helen in single combat, that she and all her wealth may go with him who is the victor. We are to swear to a solemn covenant of peace, whereby we others shall dwell here in Troy, while the Achaeans return to Argos and the land of the Achaeans. The old man trembled as he heard, but bade his followers yoke the horses, and they made all haste to do so. He mounted the chariot, gathered the reins in his hand, the chariot. I'm sorry, where was I? They left the chariot and with measured pace advanced into the space between the hosts. Agamemnon and Odysseus both rose to meet them. The attendants brought on the oath offerings and mixed the wine in the mixing bowls. They poured water over the hands of the chieftains, and the son of Atreus drew the dagger that hung by his sword and cut wool from the lambs' heads, and these the men servants gave about among the Trojan and Achaean princes, and the son of Atreus lifted up his hands in prayer. Father Zeus, he cried, that rulest in Ida, most glorious in power, and thou, O Son, that seest and givest ear to all things, earth and rivers, and he who in the realms below chastise the soul of him that has broken his oath, witness these rites, and guard them, that they be not vain. If Alexandrus kills Menelaus, let him keep Helen and all her wealth, while we sail home with our ships. But if Menelaus kills Alexandrus, let the Trojans give back Helen and all that she has. Let them, moreover, pay such fine to the Achaeans as shall be agreed upon, in testimony among those that shall be born hereafter. And if Priam and his sons refuse such fine when Alexandrus has fallen, then will I stay here and fight on till I have got satisfaction. Alright, I think for now I'll stop here at page 57. Okay, let me bookmark this, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Until then.